Welcome to solverfy.
For this problem on the topic of oscillators, we are told that a crane hoists a car with mass 1,350 kgs in a junkyard. If we're given the length of the crane steel cable as well as the cable's diameter, we want to know the period of bouncing if the car begins to bounce at the end of the cable. Next, we want to know the amplitude that will likely cause the cable to snap. Now, the car on the end of the cable produces a tension in the cable and stretches the cable by the equation delta L is equal to 1 over the Young's modulus for the cable, or for the material of the cable, in this case steel, times the force being applied on the cable per unit area, times the original length of the cable L0. Now, if we rearrange this equation, we see that the tension is proportional to the amount of stretch. And so the tension F is equal to Young's modulus times the cross-sectional area over the original length LO times the stretch delta L. And so from here we can see that the effective spring constant K is equal to EA divided by LO, the original length. Now the period of the bouncing can be found from the spring constant and the mass on the end of the cable. We know that the period of bouncing T is equal to 2 pi times the square root of m over k, which we can write as 2 pi times the square root of m LO over EA. And this is 2 pi into the square root, and the mass of the car at the end of the cable is 1,350 kg times the original length of the cable, which is 20 meters, divided by Young's modulus for steel, which is 200 times 10 to the power 9. That's newtons per square meter, times the cross-sectional area of the cable, which is pi r squared, pi times the radius of 3.2 times 10 to the minus 3 meters squared. And so if we calculate this, we get the period of the cars bouncing at the end of the cable to be 0.407 seconds, or keeping our significant figures to 2, this is 0.41 seconds. So the car will oscillate at the end of the cable with a period of 0.41 seconds. Now for part B, we want to know the amplitude of bouncing that will cause the cable to snap. Now the cable will stretch due to some load of the car, or some due to the load of the car, and then the amplitude of the bouncing will make it stretch even further. Now the total stretch is to be used in finding the maximum amplitude. And the tensile strength we can find from our table. So the force per unit area is equal to the spring constant K times the static position of the cable plus the position at its amplitude of oscillation divided by the cross-sectional area pi r squared. And this must equal the tensile strength, which we'll just call Ts. And so the position at the amplitude, if we rearrange this equation, is simply equal to the tensile strength of the cable times pi r squared divided by the effective spring constant K minus the stretch of the cable delta L. And so we can rewrite this as the tensile strength times pi r squared divided by E pi r squared all over L naught minus mg L naught over E pi r squared. And so this we can write as L naught over E into the tensile strength Ts minus mg over pi r squared. And if we put values into this equation, we get this to be the original length of the cable, which is 20 meters. Let's suppress the units here, times Young's modulus, which is 200 times 10 to the power 9 newtons per square meter, times the tensile strength for steel, which we get from our tables to be 500 times 10 to the power 6 newtons per square meter, minus the mass of the car, 1,350 kg, times g, 9.8 meters per square second, divided by pi times 0.0032 meters squared. And calculating this, we get the amplitude of the bouncing that will cause the cable to snap to be 9 times 10 to the minus 3 meters, which is simply 9 millimeters.